Hey again, guys, Tyler here from Seller Accountant, and we're in a series now called Freedom. How do we get more freedom for ourselves as entrepreneurs? One of the items that was on that whiteboard I wrote a couple of weeks ago was about decreasing the risk in your business. How do we decrease the risk profile of our seller business? And I just am hoping, by the way, I'm going to give you 3 nuggets here. I hope they're helpful, food for thought for you as you look into the summer. But my hope is that you're going to be able to take proactive steps through this summer to build your business, looking for the opportunities around us, instead of just being worried about the fact that we're kind of isolated. I mean, it sucks to be isolated, let's be honest. But what are we doing with our time right now? I just want to encourage you, use this time, invest in yourself, so that when the window of opportunity does come open here, if it isn't already for your business. I mean, some categories are crushing it right now, but if your business is in a lull, now's the time to be planning, building your infrastructure, sowing the seeds, the roots of your business, so that as things get better, you can actually make a killing and actually do the things you want to do and get that freedom in your business. So anyway, that was a side note here. Let's talk about risk. 3 things you can do to eliminate or lessen risk in your business. The first one is related to what we talked about last week. We're talking about having cash in your business so that you're better able to cover your obligations and pay your debt. You know, one of the best ways to make sure that a $20,000 doesn't kill you is to have $40,000 in the bank, right? And so as we look to plan for the future, I realize this doesn't help us now if we haven't been doing it for 6 months. I get that. But what are the little things we can do now to lower our debt, to increase the cash reserves that we have in our business, so that if we have hiccups, if we gamble on a product and it doesn't go as well as we think it's going to go, we're not dead. The way to make sure you're not dead is to have money in the business. Now, here's a quick caution for this first point. The easiest way to become a millionaire is to have $1 billion and to blow a bunch of it, right? So what I'm not talking about is being a bad investor. I'm just saying building some margin, building some runway into your business. And then in terms of your business model, it's really important to focus on making good decisions consistently. That brings me to the second point. So the first thing is let's have a little cash in the business. The second point is let's only buy and invest in great products, right? I mean, this is kind of a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek point because I want to really have you sink your teeth into the third point. But we call this the wizard or the profit model. If you have the depth of insight where you can consistently make great decisions, great choices, understand your consumers, where they're headed, what people are going to be buying in 3 months, you can make great choices on the products to buy and you're going to win every time, right? You're going to make a killing, and I wish that you were my financial advisor. The other way to only, to not have bad products ever happen is to buy products that are already great. And so again, we're kind of back to the issue with our first point, which is that you got to have money. If you've got a bunch of money in your business, you don't want to develop products unless you are a inventor. You want to go buy products of smaller sellers that can help you roll up and scale your business. Again, being better at doing research for products, understanding keywords, understanding your customers, understanding things before you invest in the product, that's a really good strategy. It's a skill set that you have to have, especially if you're a private labeler. But it may not be the one you want to spend all of your focus on. Let me give you a third point here that I think could help us focus even a little better. And what I'm going to recommend here is that you use the methodology explained in a book called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. It's called an MVP mindset, a minimum viable product mindset. And this is what I mean by this. What would it look like as business owners if we started by going directly to our customer, asking them question. What will you buy? What do you want? What features do you need? What do you hate about the competitors? And then actually testing those assumptions with some kind of a live landing page. Let's get you onto a waiting list to buy our product. To make them actually put a credit card into the system so that we can test buyer intent. And then place smaller bets, but more frequent bets on products that we're developing, right? So that we can fail more quickly, we can pivot more quickly, we can learn from our customers more quickly, and therefore frankly, here's the irony, we're gonna fail more often, but we're actually gonna lower the risk profile of our business because we're gonna be testing, killing bad products, doubling down on good products. Now, in order to do this, you've got to be able to talk to your customers, so you got to know who your customer is. If you don't know your customer, don't know where to find him or her so you can ask them questions, then you need to be developing products for yourself where you can ask your 10 best friends. You don't just want to ask your best friends, by the way, because they won't always put a credit card in the machine. You actually want to test real buyers if you can. But so once you know your customer, you're going to ask them questions, you're going to develop a minimum viable product, you're going to test that product, and you're going to iterate or improve that product based on the feedback you receive from your customers. If you can do this and do it often, this is in my mind the best product development strategy out there, which is to understand a need, only pick the highest margin needs to meet those needs. Some of them are going to fail, some are going to win, but I've placed smaller incremental bets. And so I'm not really making $20 and $30 and $40,000 bets. I'm making $5,000, $10,000 bets that I'm going to be able to learn from before I spend a bunch of money. So here's the summary. A great idea to lower risk in your business is to just have some cash. If you just have a little bit of a higher cash to debt ratio, your business is going to breathe easier when things get tough. The second thing is invest in yourself. Learn how to analyze the efficacy of a product on the front end as much as you can before you actually go live and test it. And if you have money, focus on buying other brands rather than trying to develop them, unless you're an inventor, and that's your core competency. And then thirdly, try your best to identify ways to become a lean startup for product development. Ask my target audience questions, buy smaller test runs of products, use crowdsourcing or pre-purchasing tests to understand the efficacy of the products I'm trying to sell. Kill losers quickly, they're not your babies, kill them. Double down on your winners, and then use the knowledge that you've obtained through the cycle to develop a better product for your next MVP, which is going to come in a few months. And so I hope that helps. I hope that you can start viewing your portfolio of products as an investor and invest based on smaller runs and more information from your customers.